Commander Robert Clark stood at his usual spot on the bridge of Earth Defense Station, Aegis, sipping his morning coffee. The station's large windows offered a perfect view of Earth below, peaceful and blue. It was supposed to be another routine day in orbit. That changed when the alert sirens began to wail. Commander. Multiple objects just appeared past lunar orbit. Lieutenant Amy Baker's voice was steady, but her hands shook as they flew across her console. They're huge, sir. Biggest ships we've ever seen. Clark put down his coffee and moved to the main view screen. The objects approaching Earth looked like massive crystals, each one glowing with internal purple light. They were beautiful, but something about them made his skin crawl. The smallest one was bigger than any ship humans had ever built. "Get me the UN Security Council," Clark ordered. "And someone wake up Ambassador Wright. She needs to see this." Before anyone could respond, every screen on the bridge lit up with the same image. A tall humanoid figure appeared. Its skin was pure white, and its eyes glowed with the same purple light as the ship's. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "People of Earth," the figure said, "you have been blessed by the attention of the Xenorian divinity. We are the gods of this galaxy, and we have chosen your world as our newest divine acquisition. Submit to our rule, and you shall have the honor of serving true gods." Clark watched as more alien ships appeared. They positioned themselves around Earth like a net, ready to catch their prey. The Xenorians didn't wait for Earth's response before making more demands. In New York, Ambassador Lisa Wright rushed into the UN emergency session. She had thrown on her formal clothes in a hurry, but her mind was sharp. As Earth's top diplomat, she had trained for first contact scenarios. None of them had involved aliens claiming to be gods. "They're lying," she told the Security Council. "No real gods would need ships. These are just advanced aliens trying to scare us into surrendering." The council chamber's main screen showed the Xenorian leader, who called himself the Divine Overseer. His glowing eyes stared down at them as if they were insects. "Your species is young and primitive," he said. "You have no worthwhile technology. No real defenses. Submit now, and we will be merciful masters." Wright stood tall at the podium. "We are a sovereign species," she replied. "Earth is our home, and we will not submit to any self-proclaimed gods. We offer peaceful dialogue as equals." The Divine Overseer laughed. The sound made everyone in the room feel cold. "Equals. You have no idea what true power is. We have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We have destroyed civilizations far greater than yours." Around the world, people watched the exchange on their screens. Some were scared, others angry. In cities, people gathered in streets and squares, looking up at the crystal ships that now filled their skies. The aliens' next message was broadcast everywhere. "Your stubborn pride amuses us," the Divine Overseer said. "We will give you one Earth day to reconsider. Look upon our ships. Consider our power. When we return, you will kneel before us, or we will demonstrate why we are called gods." Clark watched from the Aegis as the alien ships moved back, taking up positions just beyond the moon. They were showing off, making sure everyone on Earth could see them, making sure everyone knew they were trapped. "Sir," Lieutenant Baker said quietly, "what are our options?" Clark looked at Earth below, then at the alien ships. "We've faced bullies before," he said. "They're just doing it on a bigger scale. Humanity doesn't bow to threats." In the UN building, Ambassador Wright was already working on Earth's response, but as she looked at the reports coming in, she noticed something strange. Several high-ranking military and scientific personnel had disappeared into secure facilities. Emergency protocols she'd never heard of were being activated. "Ma'am," her assistant said, handing her a secure phone. "There's a call from a facility called The Vault. They say it's about something called Project Titan." Wright took the phone, not knowing she was about to learn about humanity's greatest secret. The Xenorians thought they had found an easy target. They were about to learn why it's dangerous to judge a species by its apparent technology level. In their ships, the alien gods celebrated their future victory. They had no idea that deep beneath Earth's surface, something was stirring, something that would make them regret ever hearing the name Earth. Dr. Angela Martinez walked through the steel corridors of the vault, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The facility had existed since the Cold War, but its true purpose was known to very few. Today, that purpose would finally be revealed. Status report, she called out as she entered the main control room. The room was huge, filled with both old and new technology. Ancient control panels from the 1960s stood next to modern holographic displays. All systems are responding, Dr. Martinez said. Greg Peters, her chief technician. Project Titan's core systems are starting to wake up. It's like the whole mountain is coming alive. They could feel it, a deep vibration running through the rock around them. For 50 years, the vault had waited for this moment. When humans first looked at the stars, they knew that one day they might face a threat from space. Project Titan was their insurance policy. Begin full system activation, Angela ordered. Send the alert to all other facilities. Around the world, in deep bunkers and hidden bases, other teams received the signal. In the Andes Mountains, beneath the Sahara Desert, under the Pacific Ocean, and in dozens of other locations, ancient machinery started to power up. The vault's main screen showed a global map. One by one, green lights began to appear as each facility reported in. Angela remembered learning about Project Titan 10 years ago. She hadn't believed it at first. The scale was too big, too ambitious. Dr. Martinez called out Sam Cooper from his station. We're getting messages from the surface. The aliens are making threats. They're calling themselves gods. Angela smiled grimly. Gods. Let's see how divine they feel when they meet what humanity built to defend itself. She walked to the central control panel. It looked like something from an old science fiction movie, with big switches and red buttons behind safety covers. The panel had been designed this way on purpose. Simple, reliable, impossible to hack. Begin power-up sequence, she ordered. Alert all facilities to prepare for Phase 1. The vibrations grew stronger. Deep underground, massive generators that had been waiting for decades started to spin. The power they produced wasn't meant for cities or homes. It was meant for something much bigger. In her office near the control room, Angela opened an old file. Inside were letters from Project Titan's original designers. They had known this day might come. They had prepared humanity for it. Ma'am, Greg called out. We're getting a call from the UN. Ambassador Wright wants to know what's happening. Our power readings are starting to show up on surface sensors. Tell her everything, Angela replied. It's time the world knew what we built to protect them. She watched as more systems came online. The ancient computers, built to last for centuries, worked perfectly. Screens showed the status of massive machines hidden all around the planet. Machines that could change the Earth itself into a weapon. In orbit, the alien ship's sensors detected the growing power signatures. The Xenorians sent messages demanding to know what was happening. No one answered them. All facilities report ready for Phase 1, Sam announced. The old systems are working perfectly. Those engineers from the 60s really knew what they were doing. Angela looked at the final activation switch. Once they started this process, there was no going back. Earth itself would change. But when aliens came claiming to be gods, humanity needed to show them what real power looked like. Send word to all facilities, she said. Begin Phase 1 activation. Show these gods what humanity has been hiding all these years. Around the world, the ground began to shake. In deserts and mountains, oceans and ice caps, huge doors began to open. Doors that had been hidden for half a century. The Xenorians watched in confusion as their sensors detected more and more power sources appearing all over the planet. In the vault's control room, Angela watched the power readings climb. Project Titan was working exactly as designed. Humanity's greatest secret was about to be revealed, and the aliens who thought they were gods were about to learn what real power looked like. "They wanted us to kneel," she said quietly. "Instead, we'll show them why humanity never surrenders." Chief Engineer Paul Bennett was checking the oxygen recyclers on Lunar Base Alpha when the first blast hit. The explosion threw him against a wall, but his training kicked in immediately. He grabbed the emergency suit from its locker and sealed it just as the station's hull cracked. "This is Bennett," he shouted into his radio. "All personnel, evacuate now. Get to the escape pods." Through the base's windows, he saw one of the Xenorian ships. It was firing purple beams at the station, cutting through the structures like they were made of paper. The aliens weren't trying to destroy the base quickly. They were taking their time, making sure Earth could watch. "Move. Move." Bennett helped two scientists into their suits, then pushed them toward the escape pod bay. The station was breaking apart around them. Warning lights flashed as more sections lost air. They reached the last working escape pod just as another blast rocked the station. Bennett shoved the scientists inside, then jumped in himself. As the pod launched, he saw more Xenorian beams slicing through what remained of Lunar Base Alpha. "This is Lunar Base Alpha Escape Pod 3, he transmitted. "We have 3 survivors. The base is gone." In orbit around Earth, Commander Clark watched the destruction from the Aegis station. The Xenorians had broadcast their attack on every channel, making sure everyone could see it. "These are the consequences of defiance," the Divine Overseer's voice boomed. "Your lunar base was primitive, yet it was your most advanced outpost. See how easily we destroyed it. This is but a taste of our power." Clark's fists were clenched so tight his knuckles were white. The Xenorians had killed 27 people on that base, just to make a point, just to show off their power. "Sir," Lieutenant Baker reported, "we're picking up some strange readings from Earth. Massive power signatures, all over the planet. They're unlike anything we've ever seen." Before Clark could respond, a new voice came over all channels. It was Ambassador Wright, but she sounded different, confident, almost eager. "People of Earth," she said, "do not be afraid. What you are about to witness is the activation of humanity's greatest achievement. For 50 years, we have hidden our true strength, waiting for a moment like this." The Xenorians responded immediately. "Your pitiful species has no weapons that can harm us," the Divine Overseer declared. "Your destruction of your own moon base has only proven our superiority." Then something happened that made everyone, human and alien alike, stop and stare. The surface of Earth began to change. Massive structures were rising from the ground, from the oceans, from mountains and deserts. In his escape pod, still flying away from the destroyed lunar base, Paul Bennett watched in awe. The Earth, his home, was transforming. The structures rising from its surface were bigger than cities, bigger than anything humans had ever built, or so he had thought. "This is humanity's response to your attack." Ambassador Wright's voice was stern now. "Project Titan, humanity's planetary defense system. You thought we were primitive. You thought we were defenseless. You were wrong." The Xenorian ships moved closer to Earth, their sensors trying to understand what they were seeing. The power readings they detected were impossible. No primitive species could have built something like this. "You call yourselves gods," Wright continued. "You demand we kneel. Instead, let us show you what humanity has been preparing for the past 50 years. Let us show you why Earth has survived every crisis, every war, every challenge we faced." In his escape pod, Bennett watched as the first of Earth's defense platforms fully deployed. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. A machine big enough to be seen clearly from the moon, built by human hands, hidden for decades until it was needed. The Xenorians were broadcasting too, but now their voices held something new. Uncertainty. They had expected to find a primitive species, easy to conquer. Instead, they had awakened something that had been waiting patiently for just this moment. "This is your only warning," Wright announced. "Leave Earth's space now, or face the consequences. We built Project Titan to defend against gods. Would you like to test it?" Bennett smiled inside his spacesuit. The aliens had destroyed his base, killed his friends, all to prove their power. Now they were about to learn what real power looked like. Earth wasn't defenseless. It had never been defenseless. It had just been waiting for the right moment to show its strength. Colonel Stephen Rogers stood in the Global Command Center, watching as Project Titan came to life around the world. The underground room was filled with the sound of alerts and status reports as each defense platform activated. "Platform 7 in the Pacific is online," a technician called out. "Atlantic Array responding. Mediterranean Hub is powering up." Rogers had trained for this moment his entire career, but nothing could have prepared him for the actual sight. On the massive screens before him, he watched as Earth itself seemed to wake up. The hidden platforms were bigger than aircraft carriers, bigger than cities. "Get me Dr. Martins at the vault," he ordered. The main screen switched to show Angela's face. She looked tired but determined. "Colonel, all primary systems are responding," she reported. "The old engineers built this thing to last. Every backup is working perfectly." The ground shook as another platform rose from beneath the Earth. This one was in the Rocky Mountains, not far from their command center. Through the special windows, Rogers could see the massive structure rising into the sky. "Begin synchronization of all platforms," he ordered. "Show me global status." The main map lit up with green dots as each platform came online. They formed a perfect pattern around Earth, placed exactly where they needed to be. The old engineers had planned everything down to the smallest detail. "Sir," a young officer called out, "the Xenorians are moving their ships. They're trying to surround our platforms." Rogers smiled. "Let them come closer. They still don't understand what they're looking at." On the screens, they could see the alien ships moving. The crystalline vessels were beautiful, but they looked small compared to the rising platforms. Each platform was the size of a small country, packed with technology that had been refined and improved for 50 years. "All platforms, begin power sync," Rogers commanded. "Start the linking sequence." The real secret of Project Titan wasn't the platforms themselves. It was what happened when they worked together. Special generators deep in Earth's crust started spinning faster. The ground shook harder as more power flowed through the ancient systems. "Energy sink at 25%, Angela reported from the vault. "The Earth's crust is responding exactly as designed. The platforms are drawing power from the planet's core." That was humanity's greatest achievement. They had found a way to use Earth itself as a power source. The platforms weren't just weapons. They were power plants that could channel the energy of an entire planet. "Sir, the Xenorians are broadcasting," an officer reported. The alien message played through the command center. "What trickery is this? No primitive species could build such devices. You will explain these machines immediately." Rogers took a deep breath and pressed the broadcast button. "This is Colonel Stephen Rogers of Earth Defense Command. These aren't tricks. They're the result of 50 years of preparation. Humanity knew we weren't alone in the galaxy. We made sure we were ready." The platforms continued to rise and connect, each one locked into place in Earth's orbit, creating a network that surrounded the planet. The Xenorian ships looked tiny next to them, like rowboats next to battleships. "Energy sink at 50%, Angela announced. "The linking process is stable. All platforms are reporting green status." Rogers watched as more systems came online. The platforms were starting to glow with power drawn from Earth's core. It was a sight that would have seemed impossible just hours ago. "Picking up energy spikes from the alien ships," a technician reported. "They might be preparing to attack." "Let them try," Rogers said calmly. "Activate the defensive shields. Show them what Earth's power can really do." The platforms hummed with energy. Fields of pure force began to form between them, creating a protective net around Earth. The Xenorian scans would show them impossible power readings, more energy than their divine weapons could produce. "Colonel," Angela called from the vault, "we're ready for final activation. The beast is awake. Earth is ready to show its teeth." Rogers looked at the scared but determined faces around him. Humanity had worked toward this moment for half a century. Now it was time to show these self-proclaimed gods what real power looked like. "Begin final activation," he ordered. "Let's show the galaxy why you don't threaten Earth." Captain Jennifer Hayes stood on the command deck of Pacific Defense Platform 1, watching as the massive structure finished its rise from the ocean floor. Water still poured off its miles-wide surface as it took its position in low Earth orbit. "All systems green," her second-in-command reported. "Main reactor is drawing power directly from the Earth's core. Shield generators are online." The platform was more than just a weapon. It was a testament to human engineering. 50 years of secret development had created something that could stand up to any threat in the galaxy. "Status of other platforms?" Hayes asked, walking to the main control station. The holographic display showed Earth surrounded by Titans platforms, each one as large as her own. "Atlantic Platform 3 reports ready. Asian Platform 2 is locked in position. All others are sensing their power grids now." Through the armored windows, Hayes could see several Xenorian ships. They looked less impressive now, their crystal hulls dim compared to the energy flowing through Titan's systems. "They're broadcasting again," her communications officer said. The Divine Overseer's voice filled the command deck, but it had lost some of its confidence. "Your machines are impressive, humans, but they cannot match the power of gods. Stand down now, and we may still show mercy." Hayes pressed her response button. "This is Captain Jennifer Hayes of Earth Defense Platform Pacific 1. We don't need your mercy. We never did." She turned to her crew. "Begin power-up sequence for the main weapon. Show these gods what they're really dealing with." The platform hummed as more energy flowed from Earth's core. The main weapon, a device that could crack planets, began to charge. Similar weapons on other platforms powered up at the same time. "Ma'am," her science officer called out, "the Xenorians are scanning us. Their energy readings must be off the charts." Hayes smiled. "Let them scan. Let them see exactly what humanity built while they weren't looking." The platform's systems were working perfectly. Technology that had been theorized in the 1960s, refined through decades of secret development, was now proving its worth. Earth wasn't just defending itself, it was revealing its true strength. "All platforms report weapons charge," her tactical officer announced. "The network is ready." Hayes opened a channel to all Earth forces. "This is Pacific Platform 1. All systems synchronized. We are ready to demonstrate Earth's defensive capabilities." The Xenorian ships were moving now, trying to find weak points in Earth's defenses. They wouldn't find any. Project Titan had been designed to be perfect, tested and improved for 50 years. "Captain," her sensor operator called out, "the aliens are powering up their weapons. Multiple energy spikes detected." Hayes remained calm. This was the moment Project Titan was built for. Raise shields to full power. Prepare to demonstrate our primary weapons. Let's show them why Earth doesn't bow to false gods. The platform's shields flickered to life. Not simple energy barriers, but fields that could bend space itself. The technology had been developed in secret, waiting for the day Earth would need it. "Incoming transmission from Colonel Rogers," her communications officer reported. Rogers' voice was clear and firm. "Captain Hayes, you have permission to demonstrate Earth's defensive capabilities. Show them what humanity can do." Hayes looked at her crew. They were ready. Humanity was ready. The Xenorians thought they had found an easy target, a primitive species they could bully into submission. Instead, they had awakened something they couldn't understand. "All crews, battle stations," she ordered. "Prepare for humanity's first demonstration of real power. Let's teach these gods why you don't threaten Earth." The platform's main weapon continued to charge, drawing more power from Earth's core. Around the planet, other platforms did the same. The Xenorians were about to learn that humanity had never been defenseless. They had just been patient, waiting for the right moment to reveal their true strength. Fleet Admiral Daniel Carter watched from his command center as the Xenorian ships opened fire. Their energy weapons, weapons that had destroyed civilizations, struck Earth's defensive platforms. The aliens expected to see destruction. Instead, their attacks splashed harmlessly against Titan's shields. All platforms report shields holding, his tactical officer announced. The Xenorians' weapons aren't even making a dent. Carter nodded. 50 years of preparation had paid off. Earth's defenses were stronger than anything the self-proclaimed gods had seen before. Send them one last warning, he ordered. Give them a chance to retreat. Ambassador Wright's voice carried across all channels. Xenorian fleet, you have witnessed a fraction of Earth's power. Leave now, or face the consequences of your actions. The Divine Overseer's response was immediate and angry. We do not retreat. We are gods. Your machines cannot stand against our divine might. The alien ships launched a full attack. Purple beams of energy filled space, all aimed at Earth's platforms. They expected to see their weapons tear through human technology. They were wrong. All platforms, Carter commanded, demonstrate our primary weapons. Target their smallest ship first. Captain Hayes's voice came from Pacific Platform 1. Target locked. Weapon charged. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The platform's main weapon fired. It wasn't a beam or a missile. It was something else. A weapon that bent space itself. The blast hit the Xenorian ship, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ship began to crack. Light poured from its crystal hull as space itself twisted around it. In seconds, the mighty vessel shattered like glass, its pieces scattered across space. The Xenorian fleet stopped firing. For the first time, their transmission showed fear. This is impossible. The Divine Overseer shouted. No primitive species could build such weapons. We're not primitive, Carter responded. We're human. We spent 50 years preparing for this moment. Now will you leave, or should we continue the demonstration? The alien fleet began to move, trying to form a new attack position. Their ships glowed brighter as they poured more power into their weapons. They're not retreating, Hayes reported. All ships are moving to attack positions. Carter straightened in his chair. Then it's time to show them everything. All platforms, full power. Show these gods what humanity can really do. Every platform fired at once. Space lit up with energy as Project Titan revealed its true power. Xenorian ships began to break apart, their mighty hulls cracking under forces they couldn't understand. Their flagship is charging some kind of super weapon, his sensor officer reported. Let them try, Carter said calmly. Show them what Earth's super weapons look like. The platforms synchronized their fire, combining their power into a single shot. The blast hit the Xenorian flagship. For a moment, space itself seemed to bend around the huge ship. Then it broke apart, its pieces scattering across the stars. The remaining alien ships began to retreat. Their transmissions were no longer filled with divine authority. Now they showed pure fear. This is impossible. The Divine Overseer's voice shook. What are you? We are humanity, Carter responded. We don't bow to false gods. Remember that when you tell others about Earth. The alien fleet fled, their mighty ships running from the power they had awakened. Earth's platforms stood guard, their weapons still charged, ready to defend humanity against any threat. Send word to all stations, Carter ordered. The threat is over. Humanity has shown its true face to the galaxy. Around Earth, the platforms continued their watch. The secret was out now. Humanity wasn't helpless. They had never been helpless. They had just been waiting for the right moment to show their strength. Ambassador Lisa Wright stood at the UN podium 1 week after the battle. The room was packed with representatives from every nation. On screens behind her, images showed Earth's defense platforms still hovering in orbit, their massive forms now visible to everyone. For 50 years, we kept Project Titan secret, she began. Now it's time to tell the full story. The screen showed pictures from the 1960s, engineers working on early designs, underground facilities being built, and the first tests of the technology that would one day save Earth. Our grandparents knew this day might come, Wright continued. They knew we might face beings who called themselves gods, so they built something that could stand up to gods. In the vault, Dr. Angela Martinez watched the speech while checking the platform status. All systems were working perfectly. The old engineers had built Project Titan to last for centuries, and it showed. Energy level stable, Greg reported from his station. The platforms are drawing just enough power from Earth's core to maintain their shields. We could power them up again in minutes if needed. Angela nodded, looking at the old photos on her wall. They showed the original Titan team, scientists and engineers who had worked in secret, knowing they might never see their creation used. They had built it anyway, trusting that future generations would be ready when the time came. In orbit, Commander Clark watched from the Aegis as repair crews fixed the damage from the battle. The station seemed small now, floating next to one of Titan's massive platforms. Captain Hayes's voice came over the radio from Pacific Platform 1. Another alien ship appeared at the edge of the solar system, she reported. They took some scans and left quickly. Word is spreading through the galaxy. Clark smiled. Let them look. Let them see what happens when you threaten Earth. Around the world, people were still getting used to the sight of the platforms in the sky. What had been the world's biggest secret was now its greatest shield. Children pointed at them from schoolyards, scientists studied their technology, and everyone felt a little safer knowing they were there. In New York, Ambassador Wright continued her speech. The Xenorians have fled to the far side of the galaxy. Their empire is falling apart as other species learn that their gods could be defeated. But we take no joy in this. Earth wants peace, not war. She pressed a button, and new images appeared on the screens, plans for using Titan's technology to help humanity. The platforms could provide clean energy, help control the weather, and protect Earth from natural disasters. Project Titan was built for defense, she explained. But its power can also help us build a better world. The same energy that drove away false gods can help us reach for the stars. At the vault, Angela received reports from other facilities around the world. The platforms were working better than anyone had hoped. 50 years of preparation had created something amazing. Message from Fleet Admiral Carter, Sam called out. He says other alien ships are approaching. Friendly ones this time. They want to talk. Angela smiled. Let them come. Earth is ready for visitors, just not ones who call themselves gods. In orbit, the platforms continued their silent watch. Their weapons were powered down but ready. Their shields stayed up, protecting the planet that had created them. They were humanity's greatest achievement, not just because of their power, but because of what they represented. Wright finished her speech with words that would be remembered for generations. We built Project Titan because we believed in humanity's future. Now that future is here. We don't bow to false gods. We don't surrender to threats. We prepare, we endure, and when the time comes, we show the galaxy what humanity can really do. The audience stood and cheered. Around the world, people looked up at the platforms with pride. Earth had faced its first major test against alien powers, and humanity had passed. The galaxy would never be the same. In the depths of space, other species told stories about Earth, the planet that had hidden its true power until it was needed, the planet that had sent self-proclaimed gods running in fear, the planet that was now ready to join the galaxy as an equal protected by machines that could break worlds. A new age had begun, and humanity was ready for whatever came next.